What's up, Dog Nation? Busy Wednesday night. First of all, I got to start this broadcast off with my trusty Dog Nation evening glass, cocktail glass, whatever you want to say. How's everybody doing tonight in Dog Nation? Bunches of stuff to talk about. I'm Jeff Sintel. This show is brought to you every week by our fine partners at Kroger. We're talking about all things Georgia football. What's up, Dog Nation? We cannot ignore the Nick Saban news. I think if I have one person, if I had Georgia's recruiting class has one person, one five-star recruit for every time somebody's texted me or sent me a message about blah, 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 blah. I hope this means this doesn't have an asterisk on things for Saban. Can he beat it, Georgia, from his couch? Fill in the blanks. Dominating the news cycle today is the fact that Nick Saban has tested positive for the coronavirus, COVID-19. He has stated he had a Zoom interview shortly after the news broke. He feels fine. He's asymptomatic. Steve Sarkisian will take over the play calling duties. Certainly creates a lot of issues about how can they keep Nick Saban involved in the program when he's under quarantine. Is he going to have a Zoom interview at halftime with the CBS reporter? Is he going to be on a big screen talking to his team at halftime? How is he going to coach his coaches? How is he going to talk about looks? He's not the play caller anymore for Alabama, but definitely a lot of wrinkles to look at right now. Got a couple questions for you guys. I'm wondering if this game even gets played at all. That's certainly a logical assumption to make, considering maybe more cases might come out of the Alabama program. You hear things about Ole Miss as well. Everybody saw the news earlier in the day about LSU and Florida and what's happening there with that game, with that postponement. I think it's been moved to December the 12th. A lot of folks are going to start wondering about all this stuff. But I will say this, that these sort of dilemmas were built into the SEC schedule with the bye weeks that were created in there. So I know a lot of you guys want to talk about that. I'll certainly talk about this with you guys as well. But folks, this is Before the Hedges. What we do on Before the Hedges is we talk about the young men, the chances of those young men on their way to the University of Georgia, and certainly the biggest target in the class, folks. The guy that had been on the top targets list at number one for the longest times, especially after Georgia brought in a commitment in earlier in this class. We have Marius Mims out of Bleckley County. I was there, folks. I think I pulled into my garage about 7:56, 7:57. Got my home studio set up, sat down, and let's get to the business at hand of Marius Mims. First of all, loved everything I saw today. Shout out, big hat tip to everything at Bleckley County in a COVID environment, in COVID-19 protocols, safety protocols. I think that community and that school system and that high school administration did everything they could to try and make sure folks felt safe. You looked around, you saw masks everywhere. Everybody was wearing masks. They were instructing everybody in the audience, the students, to change, get up and move around every 15 minutes and go to a new spot just to keep moving around. That's how kind of precautious they were. You saw Marius Mims make his commitment via Zoom. We were all in there. You also saw the commitment chain. First of all, I got to know this. YouTube, tell me what's going on there. I mean, really, he stands up, unzips his jacket, got a Georgia polo underneath, but he puts the commitment chain all around him. Miami has its turnover chain. Georgia has its commitment chain. Funny things about that. The commitment chain was actually not his. It was actually lent to him as a prop by his offensive line coach. Good dude there, Ryan McKenzie. Commitment chain. Maybe that's something new. I was kind of talking to Marius after the broadcast and everything. Everybody was kind of trickling out of the auditorium at Bleckley County High School in Cochran, Georgia. And I was saying, man, what are you going to do with that commitment chain? He said he wants to keep it, or he wanted to mail it off to Corey Foreman, mail it off to Mason Smith, mail it off to other big prominent names on that top targets list for the 2020 class. so they could use that as well during their commitment ceremonies. Fun being out at Bleckley County. The man of the hour, especially for all things Georgia football recruiting, would be Amarius Mims, the number one target on the class. Going to have a lot of stories, follow-up stories from that coming up later in the future. But right now, we had a live interview from the broadcast. Let me take you back to Bleckley County, the auditorium earlier this afternoon. That's when Amarius Mims made his decision to commit to the G, and we caught up with him right afterward. Recruited until your signing day, or how does this feel?
I still be recruiting my signing day.
You still do? What's the number one reason why it was Georgia?
I mean, it's like I was saying, I felt comfortable there. Location, of course, closer to home, family can get there, and just overall I felt comfortable there. I felt like I needed to be there.
Did you tell Brock? Did he know first?
No, he ain't know yet. He should know now.
Tell me about the chain. Where does the chain come from? What are we going to call that? What should we call that? The commitment chain?
Oh, yeah, we call it the commitment chain. That's good. That's good. Commitment chain.
Tell me about that. What is it about Coach Luke?
Like I was saying, first Coach Pittman was there. I had to get to know Coach Luke, so it was a good transition. I got to get to know him. So that was good. So I trust him and what he's trying to do with me. So I'm just gonna put it in him. So.
How big of a transition was it for you when Coach Pittman left? I know you guys were really close. How tough was that when he left, and then how did Matt Luke kind of make up ground quickly?
It was tough, but I remember when Coach Luke said he got the job. I was his second stop behind Tate Ratledge, so I'll let you know how important I was. So if I'm his second stop out of everybody in the nation, he must want me pretty bad. So.
Who's up next for Georgia? Who are you going after?
I'm going to go after Corey and probably Mason next. So,
okay.
Yeah.
When did you know, and what was it?
I started to think about it last night. I kind of knew last night because, of course, it was out of Jordan and Tennessee. I just had to make a decision, for me, what's best for me. So, I felt like Athens was where I needed to be. So.
What are you going to tell Mason and Corey when you talk to them? The group chat's going to be popped up.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be crazy.
What was that visit weekend like, up there in Athens with those guys and hanging out? How special was that time?
It was great. It wasn't really about football at all. We were just getting to know each other because I never met Mason and Corey face to face. So it was just basically getting to know them. Those pretty cool guys. I wouldn't mind playing beside them. So.
They said it was a really unique experience to have as much talent as was there that week.
Oh, yeah.
You guys, Brock. They said at one point there was maybe $100 million sitting in the truck.
Oh, yeah, most definitely $100 million sitting in the truck.
Talk to me about Brock and the role he played in this. I know that you guys are tight, and it looks like, quarterback, offensive tackle, you guys got to have each other's back.
I'll probably say me and Brock been very consistent. I've been knowing Brock for over a year now, so we've been talking a lot. Sometimes not even about football, just about how you doing, man, what you did today. I was practicing, all that good stuff. So we just formed a brotherhood already, so I knew that's my guy. So we tell each other everything. So it was just to make sure it's the right place to be. So yeah, I'll probably say last night.
You had a great relationship with Sam Pittman. What about Matt Luke made you want to jump on board, and what's your relationship with him?
Like I was saying, he made me a priority early. Like I was saying, I was his second visit after Tate Ratledge to let you know how important I am. So, if I'm that important, so that's how it was.
What was the feedback from mom and dad? How did they help you with this?
That was just we can't tell you to go anywhere. Wherever you're happy, we're happy. So, that was just, they helped me out the recruiting process for 2 years now. So, that was just you're grown, you get made a decision. I was it's up to you. So.
What's it like committing via Zoom? Not the way you dreamed it up to be.
Yeah, but it's good, man. National TV, because it helps getting to college and stuff. So, I already have experience on TV and all that good stuff.
How have they presented it to you that you can come in and work and win time? There's a lot of tackles there. There's a lot of good offensive linemen. How do you look at your situation to play it through?
As of right now, I was looking at the game, I see a guard starting at left tackle right now. So, pretty sure he's probably leaving this year or next year. So, I got a chance to come in. It might be my spot. So.
Did your thing go Alabama? Because that was your dream school, the one you always wanted.
Yes, sir.
Then it went to Georgia. Did it ever waver where you thought you were going to Tennessee here?
Yeah. I did a couple months ago. I thought I was going to be at Tennessee just a couple months ago. After I started going to visit, I was going to Georgia, Athens. I started going to Georgia, Tennessee back to back. I was I actually like Tennessee because first it was Georgia when Coach Pittman was there. Then they switched from Bama after he left. Then it was Tennessee. Then I just realized I had Georgia was where I need to be.
So it sounds like Tennessee is still the biggest threat here. Is that they finished number 2? Is that the one school that has a chance to flip you still? You think?
Yes, sir.
How can Georgia retain your commitment? What do they have to do?
Be consistent.
All right, guys, we're back. Good interview there. Let me see if I can cover a lot of the things. Shout out YouTube, shout out Facebook, by the way. A lot of the things that I've seen in the feeds to kind of answer some questions really quickly. First of all, Brock Vandegrift did not know. Mims told me he did not tell Brock Vandegrift. I think you may have heard that question or not in the taped interview we had from earlier today. He sent him a text last night that said, "You better commit to Georgia or he's going to kill you." People want to know why I'm in a tie. Folks, I told you I was on scene. That's just kind of my stripes as a reporter. I want to make sure that any event I cover, I act like it's one of the most important things I can do. My grandfather, my papa, Mr. McVeigh, everybody called him, basically said, when you do something, dress like it's important to you. Dress like it's as important to you as anybody else in the room. That's what I've carried over into my career as well. Just adds a level of professionalism to what we try to do here at Dog Nation. So there you go. That's up with the tie. Funny, it's kind of funny. I did some reporting. I'm not the type of guy that talks to everybody, that just talks to the normal folks that someone's supposed to talk to at a commitment ceremony. I got this from somebody who would know. I know because Mims kind of left the door open a little bit about, is this decision final? He said no. He said he's still going to probably go through the recruiting process. He's still going to talk to Tennessee. Said he still might even take one of those self-guided visits to Tennessee as well. So how does Georgia hold on to Mims? Amarius just said stay consistent. Now, that's some of the stuff I think you guys have saw in the video. Now, let me give you a reason to say, you know what? That's why I tuned in to Before the Hedges today. Spoke to Amarius Mims' father. Also, and you'll see that coming up on a story on dognation.com. His father told me that the decision was kind of cast about 2 weeks ago. They went back and forth, and they decided that Georgia was probably the best place for Amarius. I know Amarius told us that his decision became final, and it went on lock last night. I spoke to his father. His father said, I think his heart's with Georgia. I think Georgia is what really matters here to him. And he said he would be very surprised, and it would take a mighty impressive effort for his son to ever flip from Georgia. He thinks that he believes that his son's commitment decision today was pretty much final, and he believes that he will end up a Georgia Bulldog. Maybe that settles some minds and some hearts for everybody there as well. What else can I do? I want to show you this, and I'm going to pull a Brandon here. Forgive me for being a little low tech. I want you to see my laptop here. My laptop's going to show you a tweet, one of those that we didn't get ready for the show tonight. I want to call you to this tweet right here. Everybody sees the things on social media now where it's kind of like that, how it started, how's it going. There's my laptop right there. So I want to point you to these two pictures. Hope everybody can see it. I'm sure everybody will let me know whether or not that's the case. Here's how it started for me with Amarius Mims. See this picture on the left? That picture right there is the first time I took a picture of Amarius Mims. I believe that was in December of 2018. That was after his sophomore year, where basically, if you guys want to know a lot of stuff about Amarius Mims, Amarius had a serious knee injury playing basketball as a freshman. It was about midway through his sophomore year before he got cleared to play. Impressive looking specimen in that time, about 6'7", about 290 pounds. Bleckley County actually had two really good seniors at the tackles, and they saw no need to mess up their front. So they basically made Amarius a blocking tight end. Worked out very well. His first actual full year as a left tackle was actually last year for Bleckley County. This year he's had a dominating senior season. But I want to call you to this picture one more time, and I'm going to tell you, I couldn't have planned this out any better. That first picture was when I met him. This was in Atlanta at an all-star game. Marius was wearing an Alabama lanyard, been a long day, folks, an Alabama lanyard. And that he told me the first interview I did with him is he said Alabama was his dream school. He said Alabama's the school that he grew up rooting for, would love to get an offer from Alabama. He wore the lanyard. And I thought how it started and how it going was appropriate today, because look what he's wearing. Let's look what he's wearing. Have you guys seen this picture on social media yet? You had, you'll get a treat to get a tickle out of it. But he's wearing another something around his neck. How's it going? He's wearing the commitment chain to the University of Georgia. I thought that was kind of symmetrical about what he did on his commitment day there with Amarius Mims. Let me see. He gave me timeline. I don't know if you heard that on that interview or not, but he gave me a timeline about what his commitment decision looked like. And he said, Dream School, Alabama. Alabama did take forever to offer, so he went to Georgia. Then after Georgia lost Sam Pittman, LSU and Alabama became his leaders, and it was up to Matt Luke to kind of walk Georgia back through the door and really secure his commitment. Matt Luke did so. Georgia got back up to the top of his board, but he did say over the summer, built some relationships, went to Knoxville a lot. He said that Tennessee folks, Brian Maurer, the quarterback there, the sophomore quarterback, not playing a lot this year. He's the guy that played a lot last year in the Georgia game in Knoxville. Pretty good relationship there. And he was a guy that he likes a lot. And Tennessee was his school in his mind for a time, but then Georgia kind of came back, took things over. But talked to some folks that would know, and they said this is closer than a lot of folks might think. Maybe about 52%, 48% is how Georgia won the day for securing the Marius Mims commitment. A little bit of insider stuff there. If you guys have any other questions, please hit them my way. We're here to answer your questions tonight and facilitate as much information as we can share with you guys. But for right now, what we're also here to do is we're also here to tell you a little bit about Kroger and what they've got going on in your grocery store near you, that neighborhood grocery store. Let's take a minute right now, about 30 seconds actually, to hear a familiar voice talk about all the great things at your local neighborhood Kroger.
We'll get back to the show in just a moment, but first, a quick word from Kroger. Kroger has made shopping for the groceries and household essential items that you need even easier by offering free pickup. Just shop online, choose a pickup time convenient for you, and Kroger will carefully pick out your order and bring it to your vehicle when you arrive. So the next time you're ready to shop at Kroger, take advantage of the free pickup. It's just another way that Kroger is fresh for everyone.
All right, guys. There you go. Kroger. Go Krogering at your neighborhood local Krogering. Let me see a couple things. Getting some questions. Let me take care of YouTube first. Derek Walker has a question about Amarius Mims. I'll tell you how big he is up close, and you guys will see some of these photos later on. There was a step and repeat. Everybody knows what those are. Those little things you unfurl. It gives you a really good banner. If you got a photo op, if you're walking the red carpet, that's something to get your logos behind where you can take a lot of promotional pictures for. That thing was 7 feet tall, and it was very ironic watching Amarius take pictures afterward with family and friends. And his head, man, especially with his kind of spiked hair, the look he was going for this afternoon, man, he was almost at the top of that thing. That's how huge that he was right there. He's 6'8", a legit 6'8" and some change. 320, 325 pounds right now. I've been told his growth plates are still open. If anybody has children, talking to their pediatricians, there's the thought there that he could add an extra inch or so at least, and maybe show up about 6'8" and a half, 6'9" at Georgia. The best weight, he's at 320 right now. I think he can carry 15 pounds really easily. Can you imagine Georgia having a monster like Amarius Mims, 6'9", 6'8" and a half, maybe 340 pounds. I think he's a right tackle originally. Early on at the University of Georgia. I think he's a right tackle, especially since Broderick Jones, who's an athlete, a ballerina, at left tackle as well. You would have a left and right tackle like Broderick Jones and Amarius Mims, and eventually maybe move Amarius over to left tackle. Georgia would certainly have something there as well. Let me see other questions. I'm going to kind of speed through. Anthony Martin says, what a great day for our dogs. Seen this kid in his sophomore year, and he is a superstar. One thing I would say, let's just keep Alabama program, Nick Saban, in our prayers as well, because I know everybody's sitting there saying, Georgia's running Alabama's running from this matchup. Folks, there's so much big business kind of counting on this sort of thing, great promotional exposure for these universities. I would kind of just pump the brakes on anything dubious kind of happening right there. P. Rich wants to know, Jeff, is Georgia recruiting another receiver in this class? I think Georgia would be recruiting the right receiver in this class. Let me see. That's right. Shane Chavant knows about that. He knows about playing when the Marius Mims was playing. Marius Mims was playing playing basketball for everything. Reagan Hayes, you're ragging me, man, about leaving my tie on, man. There's nothing wrong with looking nice, man. Nothing wrong with a sharp dressed fella as well. A lot of people having fun, cracking some jokes in the YouTube feed. Let me see what Facebook has to offer here. Again, guys, I mean, this is a night. I mean, I know everybody's looking at the Braves and how I think the Dodgers scored 27 runs in the first inning. This is what we do here at Dog Nation. A day like today is what it's all about, celebrating and, kind of chronicling a very big victory for Georgia on the recruiting trail. Would certainly be a major miss if Georgia would have missed out on Mount Mims as well. Joel Moody's got a question. I would say, Joel, this is a time, I would say the next 6 weeks is when Georgia will strike. I thought it was very unique. I brought up that parallelism a little bit, the symbolism there about wearing an Alabama lanyard, Alabama lanyard. Maybe y'all get that right 5 times out of 7 the rest of the night. But he was wearing an Alabama lanyard, and then he was wearing the commitment chain today. Here's also a little bit of symmetry for you. Georgia beats Tennessee on the field on Saturday. It was Georgia and Tennessee for Amarius Mims. And what happens when Amarius Mims becomes the 16th public, notice I said public commitment there for Georgia in this class? Georgia goes from number 15 overall, number 15 or 16, I believe, recruiting class in the country, all the way to number 7 in the country with the addition of Mims. Mims even bumps off his good buddy Brock Vandegrift as the top-rated recruit in the class for Georgia for 2021. Marius Mims is the number 6 overall player in the country, the number 2 offensive tackle. But as ironically as it might seem, Georgia, with the addition of Amarius Mims to the board, jumps past a lot of schools, but most especially Tennessee, sliding into number 7 overall, bumping Tennessee down to number 8 overall, even though Tennessee has something like 24, 25 commitments at this time. Very unique how Georgia was able to do that, jumping Tennessee to get to with the addition of Amarius Mims. Gary and Christian Gilsana has a question. If Georgia wins at Bama without Saban, does that go against his undefeated record versus former assistants? I think it would, especially if you sat there and you go, was Nick Saban doing any sort of coaching decisions like go for it on 4th down, kick the field goal, go, punt, that sort of thing? You would have to consider him as a coach of record if he is making those decisions that affect the game and acting in a head coaching capacity. John William Adams wants to know some WWF names. Sid Wilkerson, man, I appreciate you. I'm giving you a like right there for that. Prayers for anyone that has COVID as well. Mark Godfrey wants to mail Foreman a commitment chain. Let me see. Getting a lot of questions. Brian Thomas Crider. Let me say this, folks. I think there's real momentum for Georgia with Corey Foreman and Mason Smith, especially with the addition of Marius Mims, especially the way Georgia and that defense is looking. Folks, a couple things to think about as you ponder this Georgia season. Looks like, hard to believe, George Pickens is actually the number 2 receiver right now for Georgia. As of right now, King Kieris Jackson, if anybody doesn't understand some of my insight on social media, they always called him the King Kieris around Peach County High School. But right now, he is your leading receiver for the Bulldogs. Developed a very big rapport there with Stetson, the mailman Bennett. But right now, Kieris Jackson has 300 yards receiving through 3 games. What does that mean? Puts him on a pace for a 1,000-yard season. If he does so, he would become only the 2nd wide receiver in Georgia football history to have a 1,000-yard season. joining I got Corey Foreman on my mind, joining Terrence Edwards, the GOAT receivers there for Georgia right there in the 1,000-yard club. Jerry Swafford. I hope everybody's doing well. One of the things I want to catch up you guys with right now is it's time really, everybody knows these are the things that we look at every week for Georgia in the recruiting class, and that is, what does your commitment board look like? Let's take a look at the commitment board right now with the addition of Amarius Mims. Let's go ahead and bring that up, and that puts Amarius Mims, that name from Bleckley County Juniors, got that new designation, that new moniker right there. That makes Amarius Mims the top-rated Bulldog on the commitment board for the 2021 class. I'm walking and talking. That's what we're doing because I'm looking at my computer, and my computer was out of juice a little bit from working in Cochran in Bleckley County, Georgia. I'm doing a first right here. I've got to find a way to get my laptop some more juice. Amarius Mims, look at that. New number 1 overall, 6'8". He's a little bit bigger than that, 325 pounds. Brock Vandegrift, nation's number 2 dual threat quarterback. Most of these ratings are the same. Let me just trickle on them. Micah Morris, David Daniel, Dylan Fairchild, Brock Bowers, Lavassier Carroll, guys still playing really well. Lavassier Carroll, heck of a recruiter right now, especially for Georgia on the trail. Jonathan Jefferson, ranked as a defensive end, but projects to play defensive tackle. Keep going on down the line. You've got Chaz Chambliss. We mentioned Jonathan Jefferson. Keep going down the line. You got Jared Wilson. You've got Jamon Dumas Johnson. You got Dejon Nugget Warren. A lot of people were happy in the committed to the Georgia 2021 commits and targets text thread today. Got a good story that'll go up sometime tomorrow about all the reactions from the 2021 commits and how big that was for the University of Georgia. Going down the list, you get to the bottom names. I think Jackson Meeks, his ratings went down a little bit. Javon Bullard's ratings went down a little bit. Right now, certainly means a very good-looking 2021 commitment board for Georgia. And obviously the addition of Mims now gives Georgia 2 5-stars in the class. Can they get to 5 5-stars? And most people think they'll end up with 4 or 5 stars. What's the next couple of steps there for Georgia in the 2021 recruiting cycle? Let's take a look at one of the commitment slides right now. I want to give you a quick snapshot. Mims's decision now gives Georgia 8 in-state commitments for the class. That moves that one up from 1, where this would be an out-of-state, in-state mix right there. That footprint for Georgia, you see there how many out-of-state commitments there are, how many in-state. Georgia now has 8. That matches the out-of-state guys, the SEC footprint. Now there's 13 guys inside the SEC footprint and 3 outside the footprint. What we mean by that is the states and regions of the country that are occupied by the television markets, but also the schools inside the Southeastern Conference. Brings us to our next development right here. And let's look at that top targets list because, folks, Amarius Mims had been the top target for forever. Amarius Mims is no longer on the board. Amarius Mims, that means we have a new guy at number 1 for the class. Let's start there. We finally dipped underneath 10 top targets. Georgia's got 16 commits. I think they've probably got 7 slots, maybe at the most 8 left in this class, especially considering the Zirkle scholarship for Jared Zirkle, but also Trey McKitty for the 2021 class as well. If I went 10, I would probably put a guy like Elijah Judy maybe there as the number 10 the number 10 top target remaining. I still think there's a chance for Georgia with Elijah Judy, maybe if some higher names on this board don't exactly work out. Dante Thornton, we've talked about him for a couple of weeks. That's the speedy 6'4" receiver out of Maryland. 8 is Donovan Edwards. Got a little bit of something there coming with Donovan Edwards, I think. Things might start to move in a good direction for Georgia there with Donovan Edwards. Number 7 is Shmile Munden Jr. Shmile Munden, recent All-American. You guys saw the story on DogNation.com. Some unfortunate news there about Shmile Munden and his health. I don't expect him to play or suit up for Paulding County for the rest of the year. Just wants to get ready for his senior season. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, you saw the edit. I don't know if you guys saw the edit on social media. TID, as he's called a lot in certain circles, was part of an edit with both Mims and TID as maybe the next man up for Georgia in the commitment board. I think Tyrion Ingram Dawkins' decision is coming closer and closer by the day. Tyrion is the number 6 guy on the list. Look at this name at number 5. Certainly will be a heck of a pull for Georgia to pull him away from LSU, but certainly LSU's chances have gotten stunned a little bit by the way the LSU Tigers have played, especially the way they've played defensively over the past couple of weeks. We've got him moving on up on the top targets board for Georgia at number 5. Number 4, Xavier Sorey Jr. back on the field last week for IMG Academy. Had some big plays, made a sack. He was playing outside on the edge for IMG Academy. He would potentially, should he choose the University of Georgia, wind up as an inside linebacker for Georgia. Number 3, Nyland Green. Nyland Green out of Newton High School. Georgia certainly prioritized him. They had some pretty cool communication with him in the echoes of the Georgia win against Tennessee last week. Number 2 is Terrion Arnold. Such a big fan of this young man and his ability to be a lockdown corner, but also a playmaker at free safety eventually in his Georgia career. There you've got Terrion Arnold as well. And the number 1 name on the list, the new number 1 name on the list, is Corey Foreman out of Centennial, California. You've seen the top targets. Let's also now bring up the potential commitment timeline for a lot of these young men. Kamari Lassiter is still on the board. You hear a lot of Auburn there with him as well. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, I think by mid-November is the time to think. Maybe in the next 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks is when you can expect to see some traction on Tyrion's decision. Shamar Turner, that's the talented defensive tackle out of the state of Texas. Nyland Green's told me he's about a month away. We heard that from himself. Reported that on Dog Nation. Donovan Edwards, I think he needs to start making some visits on his own, taking some visits on his own. Shmuel Munden Jr., I think he's pretty close and getting closer. I can see him making his commitment next couple of weeks or so. You hear a lot of Auburn, Clemson, Tennessee is also involved there. But certainly those tweets back and forth, I know you saw them between Amarius Mims and Shmuel Munden certainly seem to think Georgia has certainly heated up a lot over the last few weeks there with Shmuel Munden Jr. Xavier Sorey, he's going to be at first day of the early signing period decision. Same thing for Mason Smith. Corey Foreman, I continue to hear that Corey's going to not be an early signing period guy, not going to be an early enrollee guy. Might take his decision out to the traditional February signing day. And with Terrion Arnold, I kind of think he might be torn between whether he wants to make his decision at the All-American Bowl or maybe the traditional signing day. I think Terrion wants to wait until maybe the NCAA opens things up for some on-campus visits and everything else, like to kind of cement what he's thinking right there. But reminder, folks, Terrion Arnold, what he said was maybe the most impressive, the biggest pull that Georgia has on him right now in his mind about the potential of being a Georgia Bulldog is Mr. Arnold said the chance to play with a lot of those big names like Brock Vandegrift, now Amarius Mims. I would think, I don't think this is going to be characterized as speculation here, but should Georgia find a way to get Mason Smith and Corey Foreman in the class, I think the momentum for the class to be able to really bring in a talented DB, an All-American DB, a very special DB. I think he's potentially the best DB that Kirby Smart has ever recruited at Georgia. Terrion Arnold, I think that would certainly be what was that thing from old science fiction movies? Remember the tractor beams? I think that would certainly be a very effective tractor beam from the Death Star to pull in the Millennium Falcon. And in this case, it would be a guy like Terrion Arnold as well. And the way this class is coming together, maybe it might be considered the Death Star as well in terms of the amount of talent that's coming in here for the University of Georgia. There you go, guys. We've ripped through the commitment timelines, the top targets. Who would make the top targets list for you guys? If there's a name on there that you don't see, sometimes I am very tempted to put Barrett Carter there at number 9, number 10 as well, because know if you guys read the forum at Dog Nation, forum.dognation.com, but a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago, I put in there that Barrett Carter said he still hears from Georgia daily. Now, the door is not jarred open by any chance, but the door is not totally closed there as well. Barrett Carter is still receiving and taking and entertaining communication there for the University of Georgia as well for that inside linebacker position in the 2021 class. Folks, that is a good snapshot framing up all things Georgia football recruiting tonight on a very big day for Georgia football as they add Amarius Mims to the class. Mount Mims, certainly a huge day for the University of Georgia adding a player like that. Let's take a look at a few tweets that kind of size up what it was. Look at this one from Brock Vandegrift. He sent a text out, a tweet out to that in pretty nice edit there as well. And with him and Amarius Mims, they've been thinking about this day for quite some time. Amarius Mims, the fact that they play together, great story we've told a couple of times here on this program, but also dognation.com about how the first time those two boys were those two young men, were on campus at the University of Georgia. Kirby Smart made the comment that this guy right here is going to be blocking for you one day. Certainly at the University of Georgia as well. Kirby Smart made that comment there to both Brock Vandegrift and Amarius Mims when they were on campus. First time together, really, at the University of Georgia. That certainly stuck. And now there's a chance for the likelihood is very strong that is indeed what will happen between Amarius Mims and Brock Vandegrift as well. Next commitment, let's pull up the one there from Amarius. Amarius has his edit from Hayes Fawcett, always a really good guy with the edits as well. He celebrates his commitment to Georgia today. Got Kirby Smart on there. Got some clips of him with Brock. Got some clips of him in the Georgia G and the Georgia uniform as well. Amarius was in Georgia, in Athens last weekend for another visit. He was in the stadium. His family got to watch things. I thought it was very interesting. I asked him what he noticed at Sanford Stadium that day. And he said, well, I noticed they got a guard that's playing left tackle and playing it pretty well, he thought. But he also saw that left tackle, Jamari Salyer, probably won't be back next year, may go pro, potentially as an interior lineman as well. And he saw that to him, the tackle job was wide open and there was still a chance for him to come in and get good reps there at tackle. Last tweet we want to show you guys tonight on a triumphant day for Georgia, recruiting the 5-star Amarius Mims out of Bleckley County to Georgia. Let's look at his position coach, Matt Luke, right there. Matt Luke had a tweet out, of course. You guys know the rules by now. We try to educate you guys a lot on this on Dog Nation. Can't mention him by name, but he certainly said with his tweet right here that the University of Georgia got better today by adding something to the class or something to the Great Wall of Georgia. Pretty cool there how Matt Luke is continuing to use that hashtag there for the offensive line, the Great Wall of Georgia. Certainly Amarius Mims would be one of those watchtowers for Brock Vandegrift, for Stetson Bennett, for Carson Beck, for Dwan Mathis going forward. I'm sure Brock Vandegrift's back certainly feels about after the decision today from his good fishing buddy, Amarius Mims. I think Brock Vandegrift's back might feel about half a year, 6 months, maybe 18 months, maybe a full year younger, because he's going to keep some miles off Brock Vandegrift's back for sure. Guys, there's your tweets we went through. We shared an interview with Amarius Mims as well. Anybody got any questions? Anybody got anything you want to know? Toss it out there in the chat or in the feed there, both on Facebook and also on YouTube, and I'll see what I can do to answer whatever's on everybody's mind right now. Anthony Spano. Anthony brings up a great question. I'd love to see the over-under on this. In my opinion, do I think Brandon celebrates Mims' commitment tomorrow first or bring up Saban having COVID? Either way, he will over-explain it. Well, I would say Brandon would be very thorough with that, try to back my buddy right there, but I think he probably would bring up Saban having COVID because he got a chance to talk about Amarius Mims a lot today. Thomas Fanzava probably mentions the deal he got today on a 62-inch screen. Everybody's doing some shopping it seems, on their favorite shopping portal as well. Lots of people bringing in thoughts there on the Amarius Mims decision. Let me see what that was. YouTube, Facebook. Kathy, hey, thank you. I'm glad you like the purple tie. You know why I wore the purple tie, Kathy? It's because I was going to be at Bleckley County today, and I try to act like an objective reporter and show up in some neutral colors. Kathy, I was looking for something. I want to make sure Kathy, I had this down because I wanted to make sure I practiced it. I took a lot of reps with this after you gave us the 411 on how to do it. But Kathy, I think it was Aqua Via Green. Hopefully I didn't jump off sides on that. If I didn't, please, the name I want to learn, I'll make sure I pronounce it correctly because you've certainly been a fine part of all of our mini Dog Nation broadcasts as well. It would make it a perfect night if I was able to nail that pronunciation of your middle name, Kathy. Jerry Swafford, hope you're doing well. Everybody's looking at everything, trying to keep their top fan badges. Mike Zambiasi, we got some audio issue today. How's my audio coming across, guys? I hope it's coming across well. Dante Edie wants to know, he's a 3-time Kroger gift card winner. Just want to know about bringing How About Them groceries back. Hey, Kroger does a lot with our partnership. I'll be honest, Dante, I almost needed a secretary and a staff in order to keep up with all those Kroger gift cards we were sending out at all times, trying to take care of everybody and make everybody happy and make sure everybody got those great groceries from Kroger. Guys, Jeff Sintel, DogNation.com. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Before the Hedges, brought to you by our fine partners at Kroger, like we just mentioned. You guys want to know how you can keep up with Before the Hedges, folks? I say this probably not often as much as I should. It's on SoundCloud. It's on Spotify. It's on the Apple Podcast platform. Go in there, subscribe to that podcast, give it a 5-star review if you feel so inclined, especially to celebrate maybe the 5-star Amarius Mims joining the University of Georgia's football program as a full-fledged public commitment today in Bleckley County, Georgia. Hope you saw our coverage. Hope you got to participate in our feeds. Check us out tomorrow. We got Cover 4 live at 7:30. You know we're going to talk about Georgia, Alabama. Hopefully, everybody cross their fingers. We'll still be talking about a football game that is in play for Saturday. I would imagine the decision would have to be made by Friday morning. That's when Georgia would plan to travel to Tuscaloosa as well about that game. Sure hope 2020 does not cost us that game as well. Among the many things it cost us, saw us at the top of the hour. We talked a little bit about Nick Saban and his positive coronavirus diagnosis as well. Sure hope everything in the Alabama football program is on the up and up with that, and everybody is healthy. Saban met the press and shared with it. He was asymptomatic and he was feeling fine as well. Joel, thanks for that. Travis McCullough, thanks for that as well. I'm Jeff Sintel. Catch you later on the pages of DogNation.com. Got some more Mount Mims, Amarius Mims stuff for you guys to read tomorrow, especially the reactions from some of Georgia's commitments about what went down there with Amarius. I'm sure you guys will enjoy reading all of those. Thanks to everybody for joining us, and we'll see everybody later on DogNation.com. Have a blessed night, everybody. Stay